thanks everyone for attending again today for another Nacho Tuesday. Today I have Shashank here with SpotDraft, and we'd love to hear a quick little elevator pitch for what they do and introduce their product to the audience here.
Thanks, Andy, and thanks for having us. So I'm the co-founder of SpotDraft. What SpotDraft does is it's like the Salesforce for your contracts. SpotDraft is an end-to-end contract automation platform that helps you create, manage, analyze, and collaborate on contracts. Every single dollar that you bring in is because somebody signed a piece of paper. We make sure that's done on time and that's done right.
Yeah, sounds like you guys really speed up the process too. People just want to get things done right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what we've seen is from 8 days to an MSA to within the hour getting the MSA done is the kind of change that SpotDraft brings about.
Wow, that's really fast. Well, tell us more about how you got started in your career and what led you to start SpotDraft.
So Andy, I'm actually a recovering lawyer by background. I used to be with a firm called White and Case in New York, and at some point I realized that cars were driving themselves while I was still copying and pasting words on a contract. Yeah. So started SpotDraft really as a way to make lives around contracting easier. I started this with my two co-founders, Madhav and Rohit, who are both computer scientists who used to work with Rent the Runway and Google. So we got together, and one day, and this is before SpotDraft had started, Madhav says, "Bro, you're the only free lawyer I know. Can you look at this agreement?" I look at it, and I go like, "Hey, there are two U.S. parties, but the applicable law is Singapore law. Why is that?" Mm-hmm. And he goes like, "Is there a way?" I asked him, "Is there a way where we can automate it? Like, if there are two American parties, the applicable law is always some state in the US." And he goes, "Bro, that's called machine learning." And that's sort of the start of SpotDraft as a company and as an idea.
Oh, that's great. Sounds like you guys got the perfect team for it. You got somebody that understands the legal aspect and then people that understand how to build the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rohit has built beautiful products for Rent the Runway and then Oyster Books. Madhav was one of the first engineers at Google Classroom and then went on to work for Google Brain, which is great given all the leaps that we are seeing in AI now. So they've seen and built beautiful products that have scaled over a period of time.
That's great. Yeah, definitely. We'll dig into the AI aspect here in a little bit as well. But so yeah, you brought up a great point. A lot of business professionals don't understand contracts. So what high-level tips would you recommend for people to better understand a contract and what to look out for when reviewing one?
Yeah, I think most of the business folks need to start familiarizing with some of the key terms that they see in contracts, like what is an indemnity, what is a limitation of liability, why are the lawyers really hankering about it, so that maybe they can do the first pass themselves. It's always easy to rush into signing a contract and then realize, oh my God, there's a lot of craziness that's gone under it. So let's not do that. The third thing is it's very important that everything that you want to convey is within that contract. So, for example, if you might have had an email conversation, you might have had a phone call, and you agreed to something, put it in the contract. Don't let it pass. And then finally, trust your legal team. I know a lot of the people go like, legal is where deals go to die. It is the team of no, yep. But really the legal team is always severely understaffed, overworked, and they become a bottleneck. So having a tool like SpotDraft with a legal team that that supports business is a great way to go about it. But just trust your legal team.
Yep. Yeah, it's not worth cutting corners, right? Especially for an important contract. And there's several key areas that entrepreneurs and business professionals really look for, like the termination clause. Any other clauses where they could their eyes should immediately jump to that you would recommend?
Yeah, I think the first clause that everybody should see is the scope of the contract. Like, what is the scope and what are you providing at what cost? Second is, what are the risks that you're taking? Am I taking unlimited liability as a risk for a $1,000 contract? You don't want to do that. And the third obvious ones are, your indemnity clause, like what happens when something goes wrong.
Mhm.
I mean, these are my top three, if you ask me.
Great. Yeah, because you never know, something can go wrong. But yeah, that's great tips right there to focus on those key areas. I'm not a legal expert or anything, but I've seen so many contracts in my life, and I just know a couple clauses that I immediately just shoot to right away. And frankly, you could do about 80% of the contract review with that. But once again, read the whole thing. They might slip things in places. So I know you have a
And
strong.
trust your legal team.
Exactly, yes. And use SpotDraft, of course. um, so I know you have a strong operational background as well. What other tips would you offer for business leaders to operate more effectively in today's fast-moving business environment?
Yeah, I think the first and the most important thing is be close to the customer. We've seen there was a phase where SpotDraft was going too quickly. We didn't have time to connect with the customers. We were going on sell, 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 sell. And then we realized that, hey, our customers did not love us the way they did earlier. Maybe we attributed it to fast growth, but just being closer to the customer to hear what their problems are, it gives you opportunity to build new products, to improve existing workflows, and in some cases upsell. But the real thing is, if your customers are happy, you'll see a lot more growth. You'll get more happy customers. So that's the first thing. Second is people before everything else. I think the one thing that makes or breaks a team is the team itself. Like you need to have the right people who have the right mindset, who have the right growth mindset. So that's the second one. Third is this is something that I struggled with for a very long time. Delegation. You need to delegate more as the team grows. You can't keep you can't be going and changing the toilet paper. I mean, you did that when you were like uh, five people. Now you need to you need more people doing more work. Um, Staying agile. It's easy to say, but difficult to implement.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you remain agile as a company
Yeah.
as you grow? And to give you context, 2 years ago we were like 25 people. Now we are 200.
Wow.
Um, our we strive a lot to be agile and to make sure that we ship things out faster. And just the size of the team doesn't create red tape that you don't really want to have. And then the final thing is having a long-term vision. I've been reading a lot of books around it, especially with what's happening with AI, which is not a fad. It's here to stay. Like, how do you build that long-term vision, not just for today or for this specific customer? Um, we made mistakes along the way when we were building um, the product, where I would constantly go and tell the product team, "Hey, listen, can we make this one small tweak because I need to close this contract?"
Yeah.
And doing that just causes other
100
kinds
times,
of pain. So
100 times over
right,
too. Everybody's
yeah,
asking for those changes.
agreed. Yeah, yeah. So just thinking long term is important.
Yeah, and that's a great point you brought up. So going back to the team, right? Building a team of people that really understand the vision and what you're trying to accomplish. So when you go to delegate the tasks, you're not on every single email trying to do everything yourself, because that is a great point, that a lot of founders are so close to their product and the business that they don't want to let go of anything. And that alone can really drastically inhibit their growth opportunities. So I definitely second that. Getting the right team members in place and understand the vision that you could trust to delegate tasks to and ensure that they get done the right way. I guess what
Yeah.
other operational trends should we look out for in 2020, 2023, and 24? I know we mentioned AI, so let's just jump into it.
Yeah, I think AI is the one big trend. AI is going to be around everything that we do. From hey, tell me what does the CV work for me, all the way until um, does this indemnity clause work for me? The ability to take unstructured data and creating structure out of it has become um, so amazing with what AI is being able to do, and it's getting so competitive that if it's not a machine, it's definitely a person and a machine that's going to take somebody's job away. So being on top of it is important. So the top three are AI, and some more AI. But that apart, the world that we live in, we are getting to see a lot of people wanting to do more with less.
Yeah.
Teams are getting slashed, budgets are getting slashed. How do you get the most amount of work done with the least amount of people, resources, tools? We are seeing that more and more often now as we go. And then third is try. We just tried out building an internal help desk using AI, right? So, how do I fix my internet? How do I get a new laptop? All of that is now being answered by AI. So it's interesting to see what AI is able to do both internally and within your product as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think I've seen a lot of people using it as a productivity tool to do a lot of the mundane tasks that a lot of us don't want to do, right? So we can focus on the more value-oriented projects, and the creative projects that really help utilize AI in a way to do the heavy lifting for us. And then you need a human on there to finesse the end result, of course. But it's incredible what it's been able to accomplish, and what we'll see over the next year or two in that regard as well. I guess what causes most startups to fail operationally? Do you think?
So I think the first thing is we focus a lot on building the product, or we focus a lot on going to market, but we don't focus on the end-to-end life cycle of how that works. So you've got your first customer. How do you go and implement it? Who gives support? How does customer success function? Like, not being able to think about all of those things leads to a very unhappy customer. That's one. The second is, and that is one of the reasons people tend to see a lot more of product market fit not happening. There's that magic 1 million number, but it's not just that. It's making sure that you have a self-operating sort of flywheel or a cycle. That's where sales comes in. There's implementation, there's delivery that happens in an absolutely automatic fashion. That's the second one. Third is a unique one, which is either founder product fit or inter-founder fit. You met somebody at a bar, turns out to be a co-founder. You don't spend enough time. It's like a marriage. You need to make sure that you've spent enough time dating the co-founder and dating the market and dating the product before you go to market. So I've seen, I feel like that is extremely important. The third thing is and the final thing is the lack of perseverance. I've had a ton of times where I felt like, hey, I can't take this anymore. Like, because you're hearing so many no's in these early days. Your potential employees are saying no, investors are saying no, customers are saying no. Your classmates are making fun of you, saying, "Dude, what are you doing?" Right? Just being, yeah, and you've given up everything else to follow your passion and dream. Being able to persevere through that and just be strong is important. Again, that doesn't mean you have the gambler's fallacy where you're going and doubling down on your mistakes each time, but you really need to stay there, stay strong, if needed, pivot and move along the way.
Yeah, that's a great point too. There's two sides of the coin. Some where people are too scared to commit fully because of all the no's, and then there's another where there's too much hubris, right? They love their idea so much, and then not getting the right advice and implementing it could also affect the ability for their company to grow as well. And great point on founder partner fit too. A lot of people just will partner with like a friend or somebody that they know. Even worse, I've seen people partner with somebody they just met at a bar. So to your point, you definitely have to get to know the person. And, a lot of people say you can't do business with friends. Actually, I do a lot of business with friends, but I know these people. I've known them for years. And so, it makes it enjoyable to do business with them. But I have a good understanding with how they operate and how they work first before going into any venture, because that could ruin a friendship if you don't do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few good years of your life too. So,
yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. So I guess what other tips do you have for SaaS companies to achieve their growth targets this year?
Yeah, I think one thing that I see is a lot of people building differentiators into their products and saying, hey, my product is differentiated from someone else. It is important that you do that, but that alone will not cut it.
Yeah.
You need to be 10x better on your product, 10x better on GTM, 10x better on pricing. And all these three things put together is how you win the market. If you just say, hey, that can do this one other thing, and that's how we differentiate ourselves, that is not a moat that you're building for yourself. Somebody else is going to come and copy it and probably implement it even better. It's really how you take it to market. And when I say, and how you price it, and when I say pricing, I mean, what is the value for money that you're showing to the customer? You don't need to price yourself, let's say, more expensive because your competitor does that. If you can build great products at an amazing price, and if you're able to crack these three things, that's sort of the key here. So don't just go behind building product and just focus on innovating on GTM, innovating on pricing as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of times it's easy to, fall in love with a particular feature and whatnot. And, you think I've been there before. I had a startup that failed because, we thought an SMS delivered survey was, game changing apparently. But online surveys were already around. So people are like, why is this better than online surveys? And I'm like, what if we did a 1-800 chat like customer line? Because people hate 1-800 lines. And there's probably a lot of simple questions that could be answered via text that you don't need to pick up the phone and wait for somebody to get on the phone and to be able to answer a simple question, right? And for the company itself, they don't have to waste, a ton of hours and resources having an employee on the phone talking to something about something simple. We didn't, we ended up separating the business, didn't go anywhere, but somebody else did that, actually a couple companies, and they succeeded really well. So that is a great point, though. If you're going to introduce something, it better be 10x more affordable or have 10x more value for the customers in terms of what you're innovating upon. So what traits, I guess, do you look for? We mentioned earlier that building a team was very critical for having a successful company. What traits do you look for when trying to recruit talent for your team?
Yeah, I think the first one is will over skill. You may be the best engineer out there, but if you don't have the hunger for growth, the willingness to work, it doesn't work for us. Second is, and we have a lot of emphasis on culture fit. It does get diluted as you grow, but having that culture fit is pretty critical. Third is, just having resilience and adaptability. Things are going to change. Your product vision changes. The markets change. The ability to be able to, adapt is important. And lastly, in this distributed world, having great communication, or at least good communication, where both in person and on chats and on Zoom calls, that is critical too. Sometimes you may be doing all the right things, but you can't collaborate internally. So that's there. But top on that list is skill over will. Will over skill. That's extremely important. We don't care a lot about the skill that you bring in, but your willingness and your drive is important for the business.
That's a great point. I totally agree. I guess what growth challenges did you guys overcome in the early days of your company?
Our biggest challenge was how do we build a product that was repeatable in its implementation? And to give you some context, we started out building a put in your NDA. I'll tell you the good, bad, and ugly out of it. I'll point all of that out. Now, we built that for one of the largest banks globally. But we couldn't take that data and that algorithm and sell it to the next bank. So our biggest growth challenge was, we had built a great product, but without the vision of how we were going to grow that beyond the current set of customers. That was one. And then the second one was we focused a lot on building and very less on selling.
Yeah.
Or we sold first and then realized we had to build it, both of which were challenges. I think this needs to go hand
That's
in
a tough
hand
approach.
where, yeah, you need to plan for not the next customer, but for the next quarter, for the next year, and make your sales cycle work with it. So doing that, not being able to get that cycle right was some of the early challenges that we faced.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, they'll go build a whole product and then they'll go in search of a market for it. So
Yeah,
you have that collaborative approach with customers early.
yeah, and we've done those mistakes for a quarter or two where we've built it and then we're like, why aren't people using it? Or we've gone ahead and promised that, hey, we could, go ahead and do something, and the product was catching up. And again, these are eons ago. Now we have, a few hundred paying customers who are like extremely happy, and their core problem that we solve is ensuring that their contracts get done on time.
That's great. So I guess what are some of the favorite books that you're reading right now? Sounds like you're a pretty learned guy.
Um, so the book that I just finished reading was Good to Great. And then the one before that was Deep Thinking by Gary Kasparov. It's got an interesting take on AI and his view on AI, and sort of relevant, but from a historical lens on how AI is viewed and what it can bring about. And the book that I'm reading in bits and pieces right now is Predictable Revenue by Jim Ross. Uh, I think it is a Bible for anybody who's trying to build a SaaS business and trying to build a demand generation engine on one side and a sales engine on the other. And I feel like these are two slightly separate ways of looking at things. So I would strongly recommend reading the book.
Great. Okay. Actually, I'm interested in reading that one myself. So note to self. I guess what's one thing that potential customers should know about why they should choose your platform over, say, one of the other platforms out there?
Yeah, so the first thing is we are actually an end-to-end contract automation product, which means you do not need any other product when you use SpotDraft. Right from creating that contract or working out of Salesforce and integrate with it, or negotiating and internally collaborating on it. We've got Word that's plugged into the system, and we have an e-signature tool as well. We've got reminders and notifications built in. So essentially, this is the one-stop shop for all your contracting needs, and that's very important. The second is we do the heavy lifting on implementation and adoption. The reason a lot of business tools fail is because either it's not implemented properly or people don't adopt it. Um, and we also solve adoption because we are also far more integratable as a product. We pretty much integrate with any system upstream or downstream. So you can work off the tools that you already work off without coming onto SpotDraft. Um, and we're great value for money. So if you're looking to make sure that your deals get done by the end of the quarter or the end of the month, then using SpotDraft ensures or almost guarantees that happens.
Yeah, as we mentioned, 10x better than sending it to your legal department and doing all the work yourself, and 10x more affordable as well, too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on.
There we go. SpotDraft. There we go. So what's next for you guys over the next 5 years?
Hopefully, we want to be listed on the NASDAQ. But really, the way we want to get there is by building a sustainable business and move towards profitability. And then ultimately, the goal of every CEO is to ensure that there is shareholder value maximization, which means everyone from employees to your customers to your actual investors.
Yeah.
And we hope to get closer there.
There you go. Well, I'm in New York City, so let me know when you guys do the big hoorah. I'll swing by.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited to see your guys' company grow, and we're of course very happy to have you guys in our marketplace. Anybody looking to save 10x on their legal costs and have a 10x better experience, please check out SpotDraft today in our B2B SaaS marketplace. NachoNacho is the #1 marketplace to manage, discover, and save on SaaS. And we have great products like this here. So check it out today. Once again, Shashank, I really appreciate your time today and look forward to working with you guys and having both our companies grow into the future.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having me over. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You too, Shashank. Thank you.
All right. See you. Bye-bye.